How much money consumers leave on the table by not shopping for the best APYs on checking and savings accounts. And more to come. Stay tuned. So why is it that we love traditional banks so much? I'm not really sure. I got this question the other day. Should I be investing in short-term bonds? Now, this question primarily relates to this idea that is there something out there that I can invest in that will generate a higher level of interest than what I'm currently getting, either in the bank or through my current investments? Now, of course, the latter part of that is that the investments have not been doing well this year. However, there are some ways for you to benefit by some of the short-term rates increasing. So part of the old school thinking is that you used to be able to invest in a CD and make a pretty decent return. Well, those rates have returned since the Fed has increased the federal funds rate, which has in turn increased the overall interest rates offered by banks or lenders. And in this case, I'm on bakerate.com, and these are the current rates for a 1-year, 15-month, and 13-month CD. So when you talk about a CD, what you're really talking about is giving up your money for that length of time. So you have to think to yourself, well, if I'm giving up that money for that length of time, I should be compensated for that, right? I don't have access. I can't use that money. Now, you can get access to that money. However, there will be a penalty for you doing so. And so what you're essentially doing is lending the bank that money, and they're giving you the interest for that money. The silly thing about this, though, is that some of these rates, even at a year, is 4%. Right? And these are the featured offers, meaning these are the ones that they're offering the most in order to market to drive some returns. Now, the interesting part of this, which I've spoken about before, is that you can actually get a high interest savings account and not have your money locked away. What do I mean by that? Well, you don't have to wait 1 year in order to get your money back out. You can literally leave your money in the bank. If you need it, you can take it right out, and you can accumulate this level of interest while you leave it in the bank. And most of these banks at this point have gotten so bare bones that there's no minimums, there are little to no fees, and they will continuously increase the interest rates as the federal funds rate continues to increase. And so this is the main driver of that particular article, in that many of us are giving up that return for the comfort or the old school way of thinking that somehow Wells Fargo, the Bank of America, Citibanks, US banks have our truly best interest at heart. And they, in that respect, are offering us the best interest rate. That's just not the case. For example, when I bring up the Wells Fargo savings rate, this is the current APY, or the annual percentage yield, 0.15. And with that come the idea and the privilege of you to be able to hold your money at their bank while also meeting all of these things. All right, so there's a lot of red flags or red tape around obtaining just this level of interest rate. But if you go over to one of the higher interest savings banks, you're not going to have a lot of red tape or minimums, and they're going to offer you substantially higher interest rates. Oh, and by the way, you are still insured for up to the $250,000 limits. So the short answer to that question of should I be investing in short-term bonds, it kind of works two ways. Number one, we're already invested in short-term bonds, meaning we're trying to benefit off of the increase in interest rates. Remember, as interest rates continue to go up, the price of those bonds will continue to go down. They work in inverse relationship. So we are already investing in short-term bonds. But if you're skittish or if you have a lot of cash, it still goes back to the idea of leaving interest on the table. And that is this idea of having your big pots of money just sitting in a big bank savings account. In most cases, they are not offering you the best rate, and it's time to start thinking about moving on or opening up a separate account in a higher interest savings bank to hold a majority of your cash. So although interest rates are still in flux, I'm sure you see mortgage rates continuing to increase. As the Fed continues to raise interest rates, you should start to see these types of accounts continue to increase their interest rates, meaning better return for your savings that is just sitting in cash at a higher interest bank. Now, some of the banks that I like are Ally Bank. You can also go over to ally.com. The other one has been American Express if you're looking for more of a old stalwart style type of bank. Some of these newer ones, such as Marcus Savings, is an affiliate with Goldman Sachs. And then there's also what you see on the screen, which is this PNC Bank. Now, of course, you have to go through and figure out what do the terms and conditions come out to be. And in this case, there are sometimes a handful. You always got to scroll down and make sure that you understand what exactly you are getting into. So why am I stressing this so much? Well, I still hear from a lot of you that you haven't taken on a higher interest savings accounts, or you're worried about, spacing out your money into different things. But for the minimum amount of work that it takes to get something like this set up versus the interest that you can receive by doing so, it seems like a really big no-brainer. So if you need help or have questions around this, please let us know how we can help. But at least in the short term, start considering getting into a higher interest savings bank. So I hope that's helpful. As always, if you have friends or family who don't have a financial advisor and are reading articles like that on the web and have nowhere to look to or to turn, please think of us. Feel free to give us that introduction. We'd love to chat with them to let them know that there are ways to make their financial life less stressful and easier, not only for today, but for the future when they're retired. I hope you have a great day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Until next time, take care.